Now, thankfully, PowerShell comes riding to the rescue when it comes time to actually enumerate users in these variety of groups that we've created. Back in the oldest of days, trying to figure out which users were in which groups could involve some complex calculus with commands like dsget and dsquery, the old net group command as well. There were even some relatively complex VB scripts that you could create, or even using the icackles command or the xcackles command to try to figure out where groups and permissions were assigned and who was in what group. Thankfully, PowerShell these days does a better job of centralizing all these different tools into a single framework that we can use for enumerating group membership. Let's assume we have a couple of different questions that we need to answer, based partially on that accidental group addition that we just did back on that last clip. So what kinds of questions will we need to ask? Maybe what users are members of the domain admins group? So maybe I need to know, all right, well, who's in domain admins? Or I need to know membership for a particular user. In which groups is Jason Helmick a member? Or even more importantly, is Jason Helmick accidentally or purposefully a nested member of a certain group like domain admins? Remember that when we created that extremely untrusted users group, we added Jason to that group because we don't trust the guy. And we don't want him a member of domain admins, not by direct membership, but by indirect membership through his membership in the extremely untrusted users group. So these are the different kinds of questions you may have to think about when it comes time to really think about your group membership in your domain. Let's talk about some of the ways using PowerShell that we can go through answering these questions and ensuring that the wrong person stays out of the domain admins group. Let me go ahead and minimize this, and we'll come back here to our Active Directory Users and Computers console. In fact, let me instead go here over directly to PowerShell so that we can run a couple of these commands and see, number one, who is a member of the domain admins group. The command I'm going to show you here is get AD group member. And the get AD group member command will allow me to see the membership of domain admins. Now I'm going to pipe this to a table and just show the names here so we can see who is a member of the domain admins group. Looks like administrator is, Greg Shields is, and this interesting one here called extremely untrusted users. Now, this can be perhaps not as obvious as it might seem. Remember, it's not unlikely that you would have an extremely untrusted users group in your Active Directory domain. It might say something else. So the direct membership of the domain admins group using just this command may be insufficient for helping us ensure the wrong person's not in this group. Let's go a different route. Let's go from the completely opposite direction. We know that Jason's a really bad guy, and so we want to see what kinds of groups he is a member of. Let's take a look at that. So get AD principal group membership for the Jason user, and then let me do that into a table also so that we can see which groups Jason is a direct member of. According to this, Jason is a member of the domain users and the extremely untrusted users group, which is handy for helping us understand what groups Jason is a member of, at least directly, but doesn't necessarily give us all the information to trigger that red flag in the back of our mind that, oops, Jason might be a domain admin by accident. And so there's a third command here that I want to show you that's a little bit more complicated using get_AD_user, where we can do a recursive match for a particular group and then trace backwards for the users who are members of groups who are members of the group I'm interested in. This would be the indirect membership of a group like domain admins. So let me do get_AD_user, and then I'm going to do a filter for this on a member of. I'm going to do a recursive match against cn equals domain admins, cn equals users, and then dc equals company, and then dc equals pri. And then I'll take the results of that and then pipe that also into a table against the username. So it's this filter which will allow me to then do that recursive match against the domain admins and then all the membership of all the groups that happen to be in the domain admins group so that I can find out, Jason Helmick and also even Don Jones are a member of domain admins through indirect membership. So these different commands here can be really helpful in ensuring that the right people end up in the right group. And rather than just show them to you, I wanted to give you an example of where you might actually use these to ensure that the wrong person doesn't end up in the wrong location.